Sometimes the worst hurts aren't the ones you can see, but the ones you feel deep inside, like thinking you're not good enough. Abigail Turner felt that way a lot when she got off the stagecoach in Montana. She thought no guy would ever really want her. At 26, people thought she was broken because her engagement back east fell apart. Everyone whispered she couldn't have kids. She traveled 2,000 miles to marry a stranger through a mail order deal, thinking it was her only shot at a family. Then she met Thaddius Big Jack Calloway. This guy was huge, like a giant wall, with rough hands and eyes that seemed to see right through her. When he talked, he didn't make fancy promises. He just asked her one simple question that changed everything. What happens when a woman who feels worthless meets a man who thinks she's perfect? Before we go on, tell us where you're joining us from. If this story hits you, hit that subscribe button because tomorrow I've got something super cool saved for you. The dust in Silver Creek, Montana, stuck to Abigail Turner's dark blue dress like a memory she couldn't get rid of. She stood by the wooden platform, holding her old carpet bag, watching the stagecoach vanish into the big, wild land around the tiny town. The September air smelled like pine trees and campfire smoke, so different from the busy streets of Boston and her family's bakery. She saw herself in the store window, a woman who always tried to stay small. Her brown hair was tied back tight, and her gray eyes didn't shine anymore, not since her 21st birthday or when Charles Whitmore left her. She wore only her mom's plain silver locket, the one pretty thing she kept. The trip west took 3 weeks. 3 weeks of bumpy coaches, shady hotels, and people staring because she was traveling alone to marry a man she'd never met. They whispered things like, "Poor girl must be desperate. At her age, what else could she do? Mail order brides? What's the world coming to?" Abigail had heard worse back home. Charles Whitmore was everything Boston wanted for a merchant's daughter. He was good-looking, smart, from a rich family with a shipping business that matched her dad's flower business. Their engagement was a big deal, written up in fancy newspapers with details about her dress and the huge wedding her mom planned. For 8 months, she thought she was the luckiest girl in Massachusetts. Charles was sweet, bringing her flowers and poetry books. He talked about their future kids so gently, planning a nursery in his family's big house on Beacon Hill. She spent hours sewing tiny baby clothes and knitting soft blankets, dreaming of being a mom. Trouble started when her periods kept coming every month. Her mom took her to Dr. Peton, who did awkward exams and asked nosy questions about her family. When he said her womb was tilted and she probably couldn't have kids, her world fell apart. Charles was nice at first. "We'll keep trying, dear," he said, holding her as she cried. Maybe the doctor's wrong. But as time passed with no baby news, he got distant. At parties, other young wives showed off their growing bellies, and Abigail felt their pity like a heavy weight. It ended one cold February morning. Charles came to her dad's house, hat in hand, looking sorry. "Abigail, I care about you," he started, words no woman wants to hear. "But my family needs an heir for the business, and this isn't working." He was gentle as you can be while breaking someone's heart. No big fight, no mean words, just a quiet end that left Abigail feeling like a broken toy nobody wanted. The months after were a blur of kind relatives and hushed family talks. Her sister Elizabeth was married with 2 healthy boys, making Abigail's failure stand out more. Sunday dinners were tough, avoiding everyone's eyes. Family parties felt like funerals because she wasn't married. Her Aunt Catherine brought up mail-order bride ads in Western papers. Practical deals, she called them, showing Abigail lists of men looking for wives. These frontier guys need partners, not just pretty faces. Hard work and loyalty matter more. One ad caught Abigail's eye. It wasn't fancy or full of big promises, just Talloway Mountain Homestead near Silver Creek, Montana. Looking for a practical woman for marriage and teamwork. Must be strong, ready to work, and want a family. Send a letter with details. She wrote 3 versions before sending one, each more honest than the last. She told him her age, about her broken engagement, and Dr. Peton's news. Better he reject her by letter than in person. His reply was straightforward. "Miss Turner, I like your honesty. If you're ready to work hard and build a life together, I'll meet the next stagecoach. Practical deals work for me. T. Calloway." Now, standing in Montana dust with his letter in her bag, Abigail wondered if she'd made a huge mistake. Silver Creek was smaller than she expected. A main street with wooden buildings, a little church, and maybe 24 houses spread out. Mountains stood tall all around, some with snow already on top, hinting at a cold winter. "You must be Miss Turner," a deep, calm voice said from behind her. She turned and had to look up, way up, at the man coming toward her. Thaddius Calloway was over 6 feet tall, with wide shoulders stretching his old flannel shirt and hands that looked like they could chop wood without an axe. His dark hair was a bit long, with some gray at the sides, and his face was toughened by sun and wind. But his eyes, dark brown, almost black, made her stomach flip, maybe with fear, maybe something else. They seemed to see right through her tough act to the scared woman inside. "Mr. Calloway," she said, keeping her voice steady. "I'm Abigail Turner." He nodded once, like he was saying okay without judging. "Call me Thaddius or Big Jack, like most folks do." He pointed at her bag. "That all you got?" "Yes, sir. Didn't want to bring too much. No need to guess what I need. You came. That's what counts." He picked up her bag like it was nothing, making her realize how little she really owned. Everything important fit in one old bag. They walked to a strong wagon with 2 huge horses. The silence between them wasn't bad, just heavy, like 2 strangers trying to figure each other out. "Town's small," Thaddius said as he helped her onto the wagon seat. His hands were gentle, though rough and clean. "But people are nice. Dr. Morrison delivered most of the kids around here. Martha Henderson and her husband Pete run the store. She'll help you get settled. How far is our place?" Abigail tripped over the word. "Homestead's about 8 miles up in the hills. Good land, safe valley. House is sturdy. Built it myself 5 years ago." He sat beside her, the wagon sinking a bit under his weight. "There's a stream for water and fishing. Garden gets morning sun." As they left town, Abigail looked at him. He seemed solid, like the mountains. Not handsome like Charles, but strong in a different way. When he talked about his land, his voice had a quiet pride, like a guy who'd built something real. "You been alone out there long?" she asked, then wished she hadn't. 5 years, he said, not bothered. "Built the place hoping I'd find a wife someday. Time just kept going." He glanced at her. "Not many dances out where I live. Town parties happen maybe twice a year, and the single women are either too young or taken." "How old are you?" 38 come November. You're 26 last month." He nodded, like that settled something. "Good age for a woman. Old enough to know what you want. Young enough to—" He stopped, his jaw tight. "Young enough to—" "What?" Abigail asked, guessing the answer. "Build a life together," he said carefully. They rode quietly for a while, the wagon wheels bumping along the mountain road. The land was beautiful. Tall pines, rocky cliffs, and views that went on forever. But it was lonely, too, making Abigail's chest feel tight. "Thaddius," she said carefully, "I need you to know why I'm here." He stopped the horses. "You told me in your letter. I told you the facts, but I need you to understand what they mean." She clasped her hands. "I might not be able to have kids. The doctor in Boston was sure. If that's a big deal for you—" "Miss Turner," his voice was firm but kind, "you didn't lie in your letter. You were honest, more than you had to be. That says something about you. Kids would be great, but they're not the only reason I want a wife." He looked at her, his dark eyes serious. "I've been alone 5 years. I've got a good life, but it's lonely. I want someone to share it with, to talk to at night, to work with, someone who won't quit when things get tough." The wagon turned a corner, and Abigail saw her new home. The cabin was bigger than she thought, with a stone chimney puffing smoke into the cool air. There was a barn, a smokehouse, a workshop, and a garden with leftover plants from the last harvest. But the rocking chair on the porch caught her eye. Handmade, smooth, like someone spent long nights carving it. It made her throat tight with a weird feeling. "You made that chair?" she asked softly. "Yeah," he said, a bit shy. "Something to do on long nights." As the wagon stopped, Abigail felt the moment settle around her like a heavy coat. This was her new life, Her last chance. Her jump into the unknown. Tomorrow, if they both agreed, they'd get married. Tonight, she'd sleep in his house as his future bride. "Miss Turner," Thaddeus said as he got down from the wagon, "before we go further, I've got one question." Her heart pounded. "What? Will you give me sons?" The question hung there, like a dare and a wish mixed together. Not, "Can you?" which would point to her body's limits, but, "Will you?" Like her wanting to try mattered more than anything. For the first time in 2 years, Abigail felt a tiny spark of hope. His words echoed in the mountain air, simple but full of meaning. "Will you give me sons?" Not a demand or a test, but a question that went deeper than her doctor's words. She got down from the wagon alone, needing to stand steady. Her hands shook as she fixed her dress, feeling his patient eyes on her. "I don't know if I can," she said, her voice raw. "Dr. Peeton said my womb's tilted. It's not likely." Thaddeus picked up her bag, moving slow and careful. "That's not what I asked." "I don't get it." "Can't and won't are different." He put the bag by the rocking chair. "A guy can build a great house, but if lightning hits, it's gone. Doesn't make him a bad builder." Abigail stared at this giant man who spoke in ways that hid her deepest fears. "You're saying it wouldn't be my fault if—" "I'm saying I'd rather have a woman who tries than one who can but won't." His eyes held hers. "So, Miss Turner, will you give me sons?" The letter in her bag crinkled as she shifted. It felt less like a deal and more like a leap of faith. "Yes," she whispered, then said louder, "Yes, I'll try." His eyes softened, making him less scary, more hopeful. "Then we're on the same page." He led her up the porch steps, past the chair that promised quiet evenings. Inside, the cabin had one big room with a stone fireplace, a simple kitchen with a stove and stairs to a sleeping loft. It was clean, plain, and very much a guy's place. No curtains, no decorations, just solid and warm from the fire. "There's a divider upstairs," Thaddeus said, like he knew she was thinking about sleeping. "You can have the right room. Built it for privacy." "Thank you." She put her bag by the stairs, tired from the trip and big choices. "When do you want the wedding?" "Tomorrow, if you're okay with it. Pastor Williams comes to Silver Creek every 2 weeks, and he's here tomorrow. We can ride down. Make it official." He paused, looking at her. "Unless you need more time?" More time would just make her doubt herself. "Tomorrow's fine." He moved to the kitchen. "Hungry?" "Got venison stew from yesterday, and Martha sent sourdough bread when she heard you were coming." Her stomach growled, reminding her she hadn't eaten since the last stop. "That'd be nice. Thank you." As he served stew, she watched him. Everything he did was careful, like he'd learned not to waste anything. When he handed her a bowl, their fingers touched, his warm and rough, hers cold and soft. They ate quietly at his plain table, with only the fire crackling and a distant bird call. The stew was tasty, better than she expected from a guy living alone. "You cook good," she said. "A man learns to take care of himself out here, or he doesn't last long." He mopped up gravy with bread. "But it'll be nice to eat someone else's cooking. You good in the kitchen?" "I grew up in my dad's bakery. I can do bread, pastries, simple meals." She paused. "I'm not scared of hard work, if you're wondering." "Good. Winter's coming, and there's lots to do. Preserving, chopping wood, getting animals ready." He glanced at her city clothes. "We'll get you boots, work dresses, a warm coat." Talking about a life together with a guy she'd known for hours felt weird, but more honest than Charles's fancy courtship. "Thaddeus," she said carefully, "what do you expect from this marriage? Besides kids." He put down his spoon and leaned back, thinking hard. "Honesty. No games, no pretending. You gotta pull your weight. This place isn't easy. In return, you'll always have food, a roof, and protection. I'll never hit you, and when we fight, we'll talk it out, not stay quiet." He paused. "And I'll share my bed if you're ready when you're ready." Her cheeks got hot at his blunt words. Charles never talked so straight about that stuff, using fancy words that confused her. "When I'm ready? You've had a long trip, big changes. I'm not a jerk, Miss Turner. When you come to my bed, it's because you want to, not because you have to." His kindness almost made her cry. "And if I can't have kids, even if I try, we'll deal with that if it happens. I won't toss you out like a broken thing." His eyes got sharp. "You'll never wonder if you're wanted here." Tears stung, and she looked away so he wouldn't see. But when she looked back, his face was kind, like he knew what it felt like to be unwanted. "Thank you," she whispered. "Don't thank me yet. Wait till you survive a Montana winter." But his voice had a warmth it didn't before. That evening, Thaddius showed her the barn with 3 horses and 2 cows, the smokehouse for meat, and the workshop where he made the rocking chair. "Built most of this myself," he said proudly as they walked back. "Bought the land with army money and started. From nothing." "You were a soldier?" "Infantry, 4 years in the war." His jaw tightened. "Came home to nothing, so I came west to build something better." Another piece of his story, shared carefully. Abigail wondered what else he kept hidden. That night, in her small room upstairs, she reread the marriage letter by lamplight. It felt less like a contract now, more like the start of something big. Tomorrow, she'd be Mrs. Thaddius Calloway. Tonight, for the first time in 2 years, she thought that might not be so bad. The wedding was simple, the smallest Silver Creek had seen in years. Pastor Williams, an old man who traveled to mountain towns, did the ceremony in the little church with only Martha and Pete Henderson watching. Abigail wore her best navy dress with pearl buttons, and Thaddius looked sharp, in a pressed white shirt and his only suit jacket. They stood at the plain wooden altar, 2 practical people making practical promises. But the way he held her hand felt like more than just a deal. "Do you, Thaddius, take Abigail as your wife, to love and keep in good times and bad, rich or poor, till death parts you?" "I do," he said clearly. "And do you, Abigail, take Thaddius as your husband, to love and keep in good times and bad, rich or poor, till death parts you?" "I do." Her voice was steadier than she expected. "By the power of Montana territory, I say your husband and wife. Kiss your bride, Thaddius." The kiss was quick, gentle, more a promise than anything big. But when his lips touched hers, something warm stirred in her chest, like he meant to keep his vows. Martha made a simple breakfast at the store, and half the town stopped by to meet the new Mrs. Calloway. It made Abigail nervous, but Thaddius stayed close, his big presence calming her as she met people and heard advice. "Get your canning done soon," said Mrs. Morrison, the doctor's wife. "Snow comes early up there." "Jack's got a good place," said Tom Fletcher from the livery. "Built to last. You got a good man, Mrs. Calloway." Mrs. Calloway. The name felt strange but right, unlike Mrs. Whitmore ever did. The ride home was quiet, both thinking their own thoughts. They were married now, tied together, heading to start their life. The afternoon sun shone through the pines, making long shadows on the road. "Any regrets?" Thaddius asked suddenly. "No," Abigail said, meaning it. "You?" "No, ma'am. But winter prep's gonna be tough." He wasn't kidding. The next days showed Abigail how hard it was to live in Montana. They harvested and canned vegetables, smoked meat, chopped and stacked wood. Her soft city hands got blisters and calluses. But her mom's recipe book, packed in her bag, became her guide. The familiar writing and recipes helped her learn the wood stove, judge heat, and stretch food with smart meals. "This is great," Thaddius said one night, eating more of her apple pandowdy from stored apples. "It's my mom's recipe. She said let the apples cook down before adding the topping." "She taught you good." He paused. "Tell me about her." It was his first real personal question. Abigail talked about her mom's gentle ways, her bakery skills, how she hummed while working. Talking about Margaret made the loss hurt, but also feel okay. "She died 3 years ago, consumption. I took care of her. That's tough. You did right by her." His understanding was simple but real. "My mom died when I was 12. Childbirth fever. Sometimes I think that's why I—" He stopped. "Why what?" "Why I want kids so much. To give them the mom I lost." His honesty made her heart ache for this big, careful man. Their days got into a rhythm. Thaddius got up early for animals while Abigail started the fire and breakfast. Mornings were for separate chores, her in the garden and kitchen, him outside with heavy work. Afternoons, they canned, fixed tools, or prepped for winter. Evenings were odd, sitting by the fire, him carving or fixing things, her sewing or reading, his few books. They talked about practical stuff, weather, chores, supplies, but Abigail felt something deeper she didn't understand. He was always polite, never loud, and seemed to know what she needed before she said it. When her back hurt from washing, he took over. When the stove confused her, he showed her how to work it. But they were still strangers, sharing a house. He kept his promise about not pushing her, sleeping alone in the left loft room while she stayed on the right. Sometimes she heard him moving at night like he slept as bad as she did. One night, while sewing his shirt by lamplight, she caught him watching her with a look she couldn't read. "Something wrong?" she asked. "No, you just look happy here." "I am, I think." It surprised her. "I thought I'd miss Boston more." "Nothing to miss?" "My sister Elizabeth, some routines." She put down her sewing. "But Boston felt like a place I was trying to fit in, not where I belonged. This feels different." "How?" "Like I'm needed here. Not just put up with, but really needed." His face warmed, making her stomach flutter. "You are needed, Abigail. More than you know." Her name sounded special when he said it. "I should finish this sewing," she said, flustered. He kept watching, and her hands shook a little. That night, in bed, listening to the wind, she thought about the man on the other side of the wall. Thaddius was more than he seemed, kind, lonely, and something that made her heart race when he looked at her. For the first time since Charles, she wondered what it'd be like to be truly wanted, not as a deal or a good match, but for herself. It should have scared her, but as she fell asleep with the quiet mountains around her, she felt excited for tomorrow. October brought sharp frost, turning aspen leaves gold and warning of winter. Abigail woke to ice on her window and wood smoke from Thaddius keeping the fire going. 3 weeks married, mountain life felt normal. Her hands were tougher, her back stronger, and she read the sky like she once read Boston social cues. But she couldn't read Thaddius. He was kind, respectful, but distant. They worked well, talked easily about daily stuff, and had comfy routines. But something unspoken bubbled underneath. Sometimes she caught him looking at her in a way that took her breath, but he always looked away fast. She found something by accident one gray afternoon looking for blankets in the barn loft. Winter was coming, and she wanted to be ready. Behind a crate, she found an oilcloth bundle. She almost left it. Thaddius deserved privacy, but curiosity won. Inside was a military medal, old and worn, with a ribbon and tarnished silver. Under it were letters tied with string and a photo of a young woman with kind eyes and a soft smile. "Find what you needed?" Abigail turned, medal in hand, to see Thaddius at the loft ladder, his face blank but shoulders tense. "I'm sorry. I was looking for blankets and found this. I didn't mean to snoop." She held out the medal, embarrassed. "Keep it for now." He climbed up and sat on a hay bale across from her. "Might as well tell you. Medal of Honor, got it at Antietam for leading the men after our lieutenant died. Kept them from running when the Confederates hit back." His voice was calm, like talking about the weather. "Lost too many friends that day. You were a hero. Just a soldier doing my job." He looked at her. "The photo's Sarah. We were engaged before the war." Abigail's stomach twisted. "What happened?" "She wrote my 3rd year in, said she couldn't wait, was marrying a banker's son. Got the letter the day we buried half my company after Chancellorsville." He paused. "Can't blame her. War changed me." "I'm sorry." The words felt small, but she meant them. "Old news. Those letters are from her. Kept them to remember what I lost, what I learned." He pointed at the medal. "Same with this. Reminds me honor's not just glory. It's keeping your word, even when it hurts." His tone made her look closer. "Is our marriage like that? Keeping your word at a cost?" "No." His answer was quick and firm. "But I want you to know me, Abigail. I don't make promises lightly. When I married you, said I'd care for you, I meant it, even if things don't go as hoped. Like kids." He stood, brushing off hay. "Winter's coming. We'll be snowed in. You should know who you're living with." That night, things felt different. Not bad, but full of new understanding. Thaddius shared something deep, and Abigail saw him anew. As she cooked supper, she kept glancing at him. The medal showed the brave young soldier he was, but Sarah's story stuck with her. Another woman who left him. No wonder he kept his distance. Abigail, he said, interrupting her thoughts. There's something else. She put down her spoon. What? I built this cabin for a family. The loft has 2 rooms for kids. He paused, jaw tight. In the workshop, there's something you should see. After supper, he took her to the workshop. It was big, with tools and half-done furniture, but a baby cradle in the corner stopped her breath. Half-finished, made of golden pine, with smooth rockers and fancy carvings. It was a labor of love for a child he hoped for. Started at last. Winter, he said quietly. Something to do. Thought when I found a wife, we'd need it. Abigail touched the wood, feeling the carvings. It's beautiful. You're really good. My dad was a carpenter in Ohio. Taught me. Found it calming. He stood beside her, fixing a rocker. Gives me time to think. What did you think about? Family. Kids running around. Someone to teach. To leave this to. He looked at her. What did it be like to have a wife who wants that too? His longing pulled at her heart. This tough man had dreams like hers, carving a cradle for kids who might never come, like she sewed baby clothes with hope and pain. Thaddius, she started, then stopped. What? I want that too. Family, kids. I want to fill this cradle and see them grow here. She took a shaky breath. But I'm scared. What if Dr. Peeton was right? He faced her, eyes serious. Then we'll love kids in other ways. Orphans in mining camps need homes. There's lots of ways to make a family. You'd be okay with that? I'd be okay with you. His words made her knees weak. You're not just a way to get kids. You're the goal. Before she lost her nerve, she stepped closer. Then why do we sleep apart? Why treat me like a guest? Surprise and something else flashed in his eyes. Because you didn't seem ready. I wanted you to feel safe. Safe for what? To be my wife for real, not just on paper. The air felt electric. Abigail was never bold, always waiting for the guy to move first. But this man who made cradles in lonely nights made her brave. I'm asking now, she whispered. He froze. Then his big hands gently held her face, and he kissed her like he'd waited forever. Not polite, not shy, but full of need. When they pulled apart, both breathing hard, he rested his forehead on hers. You sure? I've never been surer. That night, for the first time since their wedding, Abigail went to the left side of the loft. For the first time since her hopeful youth, she learned what it meant to be truly wanted. November brought the first big snow, 3 inches of white that made the mountains look like a fairy tale. Abigail woke in Thaddius's arms, frost on the window, the world quiet. Their relationship changed fast and deep. The distance was gone, replaced by closeness. That felt natural and amazing. Thaddius was a gentle lover, patient and caring, and Abigail found her body could feel things she never knew during her proper engagement to Charles. More than that, they really talked now about childhoods, dreams, fears. Their walls were coming down. Tell me about your dad's bakery, Thaddius said one night by the fire. He was sanding the cradle, making it smooth while she pressed wildflowers in a book. It smelled like heaven every morning, Abigail said, placing a mountain violet. Yeast, cinnamon, fresh bread. Papa started the ovens early, and by breakfast, the house was warm and yummy. You miss it? I miss him. He had gentle hands for a big guy like you. She looked at him, and he smiled, his face softening. He could make dough like silk, bake breads people came across town for. Sounds like he loved it. He did. Said feeding people was like a gift from God, turning flour and water into something that helped families. She pressed a tiny white flower. When he died, Elizabeth's husband sold the bakery. Said it was too hard for women. But you could have run it. I thought so. But Edward had other plans. Said single women shouldn't work. The old hurt stung less now. That's why I said yes to Charles so fast. I wanted to prove I could do something right. Thaddius put down his sandpaper. You are doing right. Look what you've done here in 2 months. Abigail looked around. Her mom's samplers hung on. The walls, her preserves lined the shelves, and curtains she sewed softened the windows. It felt like a home, not just a guy's place. I guess I have, she said, feeling warm inside. This feels more mine than Boston ever did, because you built it with your hands. Nobody can take that. His words meant more than just homemaking. Here, she was becoming stronger, more sure of herself. The pressed flowers started by chance. One morning, fetching water, she saw wildflowers. She didn't know from Boston. She picked a few, pressing them in her mom's recipe book. Now, with winter coming, she had a collection: violets, paintbrush, forget-me-nots. Each was a day in her new life, a bit of beauty in this wild place. "What'll you do with them?" Thaddius asked. "Maybe make a book or frame some." She held up a columbine, its petals perfect. "I want to remember this year, even the hard parts. They make the good parts special." He touched her hand gently. "You're not the same woman from the stagecoach." No, that woman was scared, beaten. She thought her life was over. She laced her fingers with his. Now she's learning some endings, our new starts. December brought heavy snow, 4 feet deep, cutting them off from town. But Abigail felt cozy, not trapped. Their days were calm. Thaddius cared for animals, chopping snowpaths, while she kept the house warm and cooked from their stores. She knitted baby clothes, hoping they'd be needed. At night, they sat by the fire sharing stories. Thaddius talked about his Ohio childhood, his dad's carpentry, his mom's German lullabies. She shared Boston, her family, her old dreams of a loving husband. "I used to dream of fancy dinner parties," she said one snowy night. "A big dining room with nice dishes, hosting Charles's business friends." Sounds lonely. It was, even, in my head. I worried about messing up, serving the wrong food, not being good enough. She snuggled closer on the couch he built. "This is better. A cabin in the wild with no one around, with someone who loves me as I am." The word love hung there. They hadn't said it yet, though she felt it growing. She saw it in his eyes, heard it in his voice, felt it in his touch, but neither had said it out loud. "Abigail," he said softly, "I do love you, exactly as you are." Her heart felt too big for her chest. "I love you too," she whispered, more than I thought I could. They held each other by the fire, snow falling outside. 6 months ago, she was a rejected woman with no hope. Now she was loved, building something beautiful with a man who saw her worth. That night, in bed with the wind howling, she dreamed of kids, sons strong like Thaddius, daughters knowing they were special. The cradle might finally be used. She touched her flat belly, praying silently, "Let me give him this. Let me prove the doctor wrong. Let our love make the family we want." The wind howled, carrying her hopes into the starry night. January's cold turned to February's hint of spring, though snow stayed deep. One morning, with sunlight on frosty windows, Abigail felt a change. She'd been queasy for days, blaming bad venison. But when coffee made her run outside to throw up, she suspected something amazing and scary. Her periods hadn't come since December. She thought it was diet, mountain work, or stress. But kneeling in the snow, sick, while Thaddius held her hair, hope and fear mixed inside her. "Better?" he asked gently. "I think so." She stood with his help, shaky. "Thaddius, I might be pregnant." Her voice shook. "Maybe. I'm not sure, but the signs—" She touched her belly. "Should I be scared to hope?" He held her face, wiping tears she didn't know she had. "Hope's all we got, sweetheart. Hope, faith, and us." Dr. Morrison couldn't come till spring, so they relied on their own guesses and Martha's childbirth book. Abigail studied it hard. The signs grew: morning sickness, tiredness, body changes. By March, with green shoots in the snow, she knew a miracle was growing. "I can't believe it," she said one night, looking at her small belly in the mirror. "Dr. Peeton said I'd never have a baby." "Doctors don't know everything," Thaddius said from bed, watching her with wonder. "Maybe you needed the right guy. Or maybe I needed to stop thinking I was broken." She faced him, hand on her belly. "I thought something was wrong with me. Never thought it might have been Charles. He wasn't excited about that part of marriage. Our courtship was so proper." Her cheeks warmed, but Thaddius made her feel safe. "With you, it feels right. Come here," he said, and she went to his arms. "You're perfect as you are. Don't let anyone—" Doctors, old fiancés say different. The baby moved as spring came. Abigail's belly grew, and she adjusted her dresses. She felt protective, her hand always on her belly, dreaming of a dark-haired child with Thaddius's eyes. Thaddius changed, too, super protective, not letting her lift heavy things and worrying if she was tired. He moved the cradle to their room by her bed. "Too early for that?" she teased, though it made her heart happy. "Never too early to be ready." He touched the cradle proudly. "I like looking at it. Makes it real." They prepped for the birth. Thaddius built a birthing chair from Martha's book. Abigail sewed baby clothes. They talked names, James for a boy, after his dad, or Sarah for a girl, which surprised her. "She's my past," he said, "not my future. If we have a girl, I want to honor that while celebrating now." His kindness made her love him more. Her pressed flowers meant more now, each one marking her growth and the baby's promise. She imagined showing a child these flowers, teaching them about this wild place. "What if something goes wrong?" she asked one night, scared. "What if I lose the baby?" "We'll grieve together and try again," he said calmly. "But it won't happen. You're strong, Abigail." "How do you know?" "I've seen you change from a scared woman to someone who could do anything. You survived losing your parents, a broken engagement, coming here alone. You've thrived here." His hand found hers. "This baby's lucky to have you." His faith made her feel strong. As spring turned to summer, her belly big, she became the woman she was meant to be. Not the timid Boston girl, but capable, loved. Labor started on a warm August morning, wildflowers blooming everywhere. With the first pain, she grabbed a forget-me-not she'd picked, its blue petals like hope. "It's time," she told Thaddius, seeing her excitement and fear in his eyes. Their child was coming, proof that love could do miracles. A letter came in September when aspens turned gold and Abigail felt strong enough to walk beyond the cabin. Their son, James Thomas Calloway, was born 3 weeks ago after a tough but good labor. She was recovering, amazed by the tiny boy who had her and Thaddius wrapped around his finger. Nursing James on the porch, enjoying the cool air, she saw a rider. Tom Fletcher from the livery looked serious, not here for a friendly visit. "Mrs. Calloway," he said, tipping his hat. "Got a letter for you. Came yesterday, marked urgent." Her stomach dropped. Urgent letters were rarely good, and she'd been so happy she forgot the outside world. "Thank you, Tom." She took the envelope, holding James close. "Want coffee? Long ride?" "No, ma'am. Gotta get back before the storm." He looked at the dark clouds. After he left, Abigail stared at the letter. The Boston address was in Charles Whitmore's neat writing, a name from a life she thought was gone. She opened it, hands shaking. "My dear Abigail, I hope you're well, though I'm upset to hear about your life now. Word got to Boston that you married a frontier man, and I can't believe you'd pick such a hard life when better options are. Here, things changed since we split. My family's business grew, and I'm now in the Massachusetts legislature. I can give you a comfy life, away from frontier struggles. I was young and dumb when I ended our engagement, pushed by my dad's worries about heirs. I know now love matters more. I never stopped loving you. I'm ready to come to Montana to bring you back to Boston for the wedding we planned. I've got money to make sure you're set. I talked to doctors who think your diagnosis was wrong. With good care, you can have kids. Think about this. You might feel stuck with the man you married out of need, but this isn't your life. You were born to be a lady, not a pioneer fighting nature. Reply soon. I can have you back in civilization in a month. Your devoted, Charles Whitmore." The letter fell from her hands as she stared at the valley. Charles wanted her back. The man who dumped her now saying he loved her and wanted to save her from this hard life. "Mama?" Thaddius's voice was warm with worry. He'd started calling her that since James was born. "You look spooked." She turned to see him in the doorway, sleeves rolled up from work. He was still big and strong, but she saw the kind man inside. How could Charles think she'd leave this for Boston? "It's like a ghost," she said, picking up the letter. "It's from Charles Whitmore, my old fiancé." His face went still. "What's he want?" "He wants me back. Says he's rich now, important. Claims he never stopped loving me and wants to take me to Boston." Her voice broke. Silence grew with James making happy sounds. Thaddius sat in the rocking chair beside her. What did you tell him? Nothing yet. It just came. She looked at him. Thaddius, you don't think I think you need to think what's best for you and James. His words hurt. What do you mean? That guy can give you stuff I can't. Comfort, money, a fancy life. James could be a gentleman, not a mountain kid. I don't want that. You might later, when winter's tough or you miss city things. His voice was calm, but she saw his pain. I always knew you were too good for this, Abigail. Maybe this is your chance. What I deserve? She stood, making James fuss. I deserve a husband who doesn't push me away at the first problem. I'm not pushing, I'm giving you a choice. No, you're giving up. You're so sure I'll leave. You're practically packing for me. Tears fell, and James cried, too. Thaddius took the baby, who calmed in his big arms, grabbing a finger. Look at him, Thaddius said. He'll be tall like me, stubborn. In Boston, he could go to Harvard, be a lawyer. Here, he might not finish 8th grade. School isn't everything. Chances are, options. He looked at her. I won't keep you from a better life. I couldn't live with myself if I left the man who gave me everything. She knelt, grabbing his hand. Thaddius, look at me. Do I seem unhappy? Like I want something else? No, he admitted, but you might later. The truth is, I love you more than anything. We have a son, a home we built. Charles had his chance and threw it away. Her voice got strong. I'm not the woman who left Boston. I wouldn't marry him now. Hope sparked in his eyes. Then his jaw tightened. He's coming anyway. What? She read the letter's end. I've made plans to come west and will be in Silver Creek by month's end to talk in person. I trust you'll think hard about my offer. He's not giving me a choice, she whispered. He's deciding for me. Sounds like him, Thaddius said, his voice hard, protective. Thinks he can take what he wants. What do? We let him come, hear him out, then you decide what you want. He stood, holding James. But promise me something. What? Think about his offer for real, not just with your heart, but your head. Think about James's life, your future. His voice was soft. Don't stay just because you feel you have to. His words broke her heart. How can you think I'd pick him? Because I love you too much to trap you. As storm clouds gathered and James slept in his dad's arms, Abigail felt her world shake. Charles was coming, and her husband seemed ready to let him try. Could their love survive this? Charles arrived in Silver Creek on September's last day, in a fancy hired coach with shiny brass. The town buzzed. A Boston man in nice clothes, acting like he owned everything. Martha Henderson rode up to tell Abigail. He's at the hotel, asking about you and Thaddius, she said, excited and worried. About your marriage, the baby, how you live up. Here. Tom said he acted like nobody civilized would live like this. What did you say? Abigail asked, bouncing James. Told him you're happier than ever, and Thaddius is one of the best guys around. Martha's eyes flashed, but he just gave a smug smile. Said he understood my loyalty. Thaddius came from the barn, face grim. When's he coming? Tomorrow morning, I think. Asked Pete for a horse. Said he's got big business at your place. After Martha left, the cabin felt tense. Thaddius did chores like a robot, and Abigail tried to focus on James and supper, but they kept looking at the road, hoping Charles would vanish. That night, in bed, they didn't talk. The space between them feeling huge. James slept in his cradle, not knowing his world might change. Thaddius, Abigail whispered. Yeah? Do you want me to stay? His voice was rough. More than my next breath. But wanting doesn't make it right. What if I think it's right? I'll trust you. But be honest with yourself, Abigail. Don't stay just to make me happy. She turned to him in the dark. I'm telling him no, he's going back to Boston alone. You sure? Yes. This is my home, you're my husband. James is our son. I'd rather face 100 winters here than one day pretending to be someone I'm not. She grabbed his hand. I love you. And love isn't something you ditch for a better deal. He kissed her knuckles. I hope you feel that way when you see him. I will. But a tiny part of her wondered what seeing Charles would feel. Like what it'd be like to remember her old dreams. Charles came at 10 sharp, always on time. From the kitchen window, Abigail saw him ride up, looking out of place in his fancy clothes and shiny boots. He rode awkwardly, not used to the lively frontier horse. He was still handsome, tall and lean with light hair and fine features, but he seemed weak compared to Thaddeus's strength. "I'll handle this," Thaddeus said, checking his grandpa's rifle and setting it by the door. "We'll handle it," Abigail said. Together they went out as Charles got off his horse carefully. His eyes found Abigail, softening with what looked like real care. "My dear Abigail," he said, tipping his hat. "You look, well, thank you, Charles." "You look the same." Her voice was polite but cool. "This is my husband, Thaddius Calloway. Thaddeus, Charles Whitmore." The men stared at each other like they might fight. Charles had to look up at Thaddeus, swallowing hard at his size. "Mr. Calloway," Charles said, offering his hand stiffly. "Thanks for having me." "Mr. Whitmore." Thaddeus shook briefly. "This is our home, not just mine." Charles's jaw tightened, but he stayed polite. "Of course. Can we talk alone? I came along." "Way. Anything you say to my wife, you say to me," Thaddeus said calmly. "That's not proper." "It's proper because I say so. My land, my home, my wife. You're a guest, Mr. Whitmore. Follow my rules or leave." Charles's face got red, but he knew he couldn't win a fight. "Fine, Abigail. You got my letter?" "Yes." "Then you know why I'm here. I want to take you home, where you belong." "This is my home," she said firmly. "I belong here." "Do you?" Charles waved at the cabin, the wild land. "Look at this place. You were meant for better. Nice houses. Fancy people respect." "I have respect here. I have love." "You have loneliness and hard work. What happens when you're tired of playing pioneer? When you want theater, museums, smart people?" His voice got loud. "What about your son's chances?" Thaddeus's eyes flickered at James's name, and Abigail's heart squeezed. Charles wasn't promising luxury. He was saying she was hurting her son's future. "Our son will have chances," she said, less steady. "What chances? To be a farmer?" Charles pushed. "In Boston, he could go to great schools, meet important people, be anything." "He can be anything here," Thaddeus said quietly. "Character comes from hard work, honesty, standing on your own." "How cute," Charles said, almost sneering. "But surely you see the boy needs civilization, culture, not having his mom ripped from the man who loves her, or learning promises can be broken." "I'm not breaking promises. I'm fixing a mistake." Charles turned to Abigail. "What we had was real. It's worth fighting for." "What we had died when you left me," Abigail said, getting mad. "You're not fighting for love, Charles. It's pride. It's love. I never stopped loving you, never stopped regretting my mistake." He stepped closer, and Thaddeus tensed. "I can give you everything. Servants, nice clothes, society. Your son could go to Harvard. Think what you're taking from him." "I'm not taking anything. I'm giving him parents who love each other, a home built on truth." "You're giving him poverty." "Enough." Thaddeus stepped forward, and Charles backed up. "You've said your piece, Whitmore. Time to go." "I'm not leaving without Abigail." "Yes, you are." She said no. "This talk's done." Charles looked desperate. "Abigail, think about what I'm offering. Don't decide with feelings." "I'm deciding with love," she said quietly. "Real love. Not what you gave me 3 years ago." "This isn't over," Charles said, his polite mask gone, showing an entitled man. "I have money, connections. I can make life hard for you here." Thaddeus's hand moved to the rifle. Abigail felt cold fear. "You threatening us?" she asked. "I'm telling the truth. I know people who appoint judges. Land claims can be fought. Licenses can be taken." His smile was mean. "It'd be easier if you came willingly." "Get off my land," Thaddeus said, his voice scary quiet. "Or what? You'll shoot me?" "That'd prove what kind of man you are." "I won't shoot, but I'll break every bone if you threaten my family again." Charles must have believed him. He got on his horse, less smooth than before, red with anger. "This isn't over. Abigail, 1 week to change your mind. After that, your choices get small." He rode off, leaving them in the yard with his threats like a dark cloud. "He's going to try to ruin us," Abigail said. "Let him try." But Thaddeus sounded worried, and she knew they both thought the same. Sometimes love couldn't stop powerful people. As Charles disappeared down the road, Abigail felt real fear, not for herself, but for their life and their son, sleeping unaware that big men were planning his future. Charles's threats came fast. 3 days later, Sheriff Brady showed up, with papers and a serious face. "Sorry, Thaddius," he said, handing over documents. "Orders from the judge. Someone's challenging your land claim." Abigail saw Thaddius's face go still, the calm he used for danger. "Why?" he asked. "Says you didn't live here enough. Claims you were gone for long times during the proving period." "That's a lie. I've been here 5 years straight." "I know, but someone filed papers saying different, with witnesses." Brady looked uneasy. "Word is a Boston guy wants this land for Eastern money." The deed, Thaddius's proof of their life, felt weak now. Abigail's safe world shook. "How long we got?" she asked. "Hearings next week in Silver Creek. Judge Morrison's in charge." Brady tipped his hat. "Get a good lawyer, Thaddius. This is big." After he left, they sat at the table, staring at the papers like they might bite. James fussed, feeling the tension. "He can't do this," Abigail said. "Not sure. You built this. You've been here years. We have witnesses." "Who? Martha, Pete, Tom?" "They're good, but they won't beat a guy with money and connections." Thaddius ran his hands through his hair. "Charles was right. Power matters even here. So we fight. Get a lawyer, gather proof. With what money? Lawyers cost more than we got. Charles can drag this till we're broke." His defeat made her panic. Maybe this is a sign. A sign to take his offer, go to Boston, give James his life. Abigail stood fast, her chair scraping. "Don't you dare give up on us. I'm being real." He looked at her, pained. "Even if we win, he'll find ways to hurt us. Guys like him don't lose easy." "Then we don't let him win." That night, as Thaddius chopped wood hard and James slept restlessly, Abigail wrote letters, her pen scratching with purpose. She wrote to everyone who could prove Thaddius lived here: Dr. Morrison, Pastor Williams, the surveyor who marked their land. But doubt crept in. Would it be enough against Charles's fake witnesses? Next morning, Tom Fletcher brought worse news. Charles was in town, paying people to back his story. "He's got 3 guys saying they saw your land empty for months," Tom said, worried. "Strangers, claiming to be trappers, but they're liars." "Of course," Thaddius said. "But they're dressed nice, talk smooth. Judge Morrison's new. Doesn't know folks like old Judge Patterson did." Abigail felt trapped. "What about people who know Thaddius?" "Charles is working that too, saying mountain men stick together, aren't trustworthy." Tom's face was grim. "He's making this about civilization versus wild." That afternoon, Abigail did something her old self wouldn't. She wrapped James, saddled a gentle horse, and rode to Silver Creek to face Charles. She found him in the hotel dining room, talking to fancy strangers, his fake witnesses. When he saw her, he smiled like he was happy. "Abigail, you come to your senses? I'm here to tell you to stop this legal stuff and leave us alone." His smile faded. "It's too late for that. Once papers are filed, they don't stop. You can stop them. Call off your liars, drop the challenge, go home." Her voice was low but strong. "Why would I? I'm close to getting you back. If you don't, I'll fight with everything. I'll tell everyone in Boston what kind of man you are." His eyes went cold. "Careful, Abigail. You can't threaten me. I'm promising. I'm a frontier wife, but I have connections. My sister Elizabeth knows your circle. One word about what you're doing and your fancy reputation's gone." He looked unsure. "They'll believe you, a dumped fiancé, over me? The woman who built a new life versus the guy who uses money to hurt families." She leaned closer. "Is your pride worth your name?" For a second, she thought she got through. Then his face hardened. "You've gotten tough, living with savages. But you're still that naive Boston girl. Think honor beats money? How sweet. I think love beats anything, even you." She left, heart pounding, but stronger. Charles had money, but she and Thaddius had truth, and a town that knew them. The hearing was in Silver Creek's tiny courthouse on a crisp October morning, snow dusting the peaks. The room was packed, everyone knowing this was more than a land fight. It was 2 ways of life. Abigail sat up front with James in her best, dress and Mom's locket. Her wedding ring shone in the light, and she twisted it nervously. Charles sat with his fancy lawyer from Helena, who acted big city. Their 3 witnesses, fake trappers with soft hands, sat ready. Judge Morrison, younger than expected, looked Eastern, listening closely as Charles's lawyer said Thaddius didn't live on the land enough. "Your Honor," the lawyer said, "homestead laws are clear. Mr. Calloway built stuff, but he wasn't here enough." The first witness, a thin guy named Johnson, swore he saw the homestead empty for weeks, even months. Abigail's heart sank as he lied smoothly, with details that sounded real to an outsider. The other 2 said the same, claiming the land was empty during key times. When it was their turn, they had no lawyer, just Thaddius, standing tall and calm. "Your Honor, I've lived here every day for 5 years, except short-town trips. I built the cabin, barn, fields, well, garden. It's not just land, it's my home." Their witnesses spoke. Dr. Morrison about medical visits, Martha about trading supplies, Pastor Williams about the wedding. But Abigail saw the judge wasn't swayed, probably thinking these simple folks might lie for a friend. Then the courthouse doors opened. An older man with a gray beard, looking like a true mountain man, walked in. Sheriff Brady whispered to him, and he sat in the back, making older folks murmur. After Martha's turn, he stood. "Your Honor, I have something to say." Charles's lawyer jumped up. "He's not listed." "I'm Federal Marshal Jake Sullivan," the man said calmly. "I've been tracking wanted men, and I have info for this case." The judge leaned forward. "Go ahead, Marshal." "Those 3 witnesses? I know them. They're not trappers. They're con men, wanted in 3 territories for fraud and lying under oath." He pulled out wanted posters. "Samuel Morrison, alias Johnson. Frank Wheeler, alias Peterson. Tommy Briggs, alias Anderson. Wanted for fake, testimony and land scams." The room gasped, and Charles went white as his case fell apart. His lawyer whispered fast, and the fake witnesses looked trapped. "Also," Sullivan said, "I'm looking into Eastern businessmen hiring these guys for land fights across Montana. They're stealing homes from honest settlers." Judge Morrison looked mad. "Mr. Whitmore, explain this." Charles stood shaky. "Your Honor? I thought they were real witnesses. If they lied..." "If they lied..." Abigail stood, holding James. "You hired them, Charles. You told them what to say. You came to steal my husband's land because I picked him over you." Her voice grew strong. "You paid criminals to lie because your pride mattered more than our family." Her ring flashed as she raised her hand. "This ring means vows I made to a man who's honest, who never left me, never tried to change me. You think you can buy me like you bought those liars, but I'm not for sale." The judge grabbed his gavel. "Case dismissed. Mr. Calloway's claim is valid. Mr. Whitmore, stay in Silver Creek till Marshal Sullivan decides on charges. Be glad we have laws now." The gavel fell, and the room cheered for Thaddius and Abigail. He hugged her and James tight. "It's over," he whispered. "Yes," she said back. Looking at Charles, defeated and maybe facing jail, she felt no joy, just sadness for the man he'd become. The boy she once loved was gone, eaten by pride, leaving a bitter shell. She chose right when she said yes to Thaddius's question about sons, not because of Charles's failure, but because of the love she and Thaddius built, strong enough for any storm. Spring came softly to the mountains, like a blessing after last fall's fight. 2 years passed since Charles tried to take what wasn't his, and the pain faded. Abigail worked in her garden, hands dirty, planting vegetables. James, now 2, toddled nearby, chasing butterflies and picking up rocks, talking his baby talk. His dark hair shone, and his eyes, like Thaddius's, sparkled with curiosity and love. "Mama, look!" James held up a pebble like a treasure. "Beautiful." "Sweetheart," Abigail said, taking it seriously. "Save it for Papa?" "Papa!" James clapped, looking at the barn where Thaddius hammered, sometimes swearing softly. Hoofbeats made Abigail look up. Dr. Morrison rode up, his medical bag tied to his saddle, his face excited. "Mrs. Calloway," he called, getting off his horse. "Good news, I hope." She wiped her hands and picked up James, who grabbed for the doctor's hat. The best. Got a letter from Helena. Mr. Whitmore got 2 years in prison for fraud and conspiracy. Marshal Sullivan built a strong case. Abigail felt relief, justice, but also sadness for Charles's wasted life. 2 years seems tough, she said. Not tough enough, Morrison said. He tried to steal your home, break your family, but maybe prison teaches him humility. I hope it teaches him some things can't be bought, she said quietly. After he left, she found Thaddius in the workshop, sanding another rocking chair. The first one still sat on the porch, worn but strong. More furniture? She asked, setting James in wood shavings to build castles. Thought you'd like one for the nursery, Thaddius said, not looking up. For the next baby? Her cheeks warmed. They'd been trying for another, and she hoped she was pregnant, but hadn't said, wanting to be sure. What makes you think another's coming? He smiled, making her heart skip. You're avoiding coffee, fell asleep at supper, keep touching. Your belly when you think I'm not looking? She laughed. When'd you get so nosy? When I married a woman worth watching. He pulled her close, despite James's complaints about his castles. How long you known? A month. Wanted to be sure. She shrugged, amazed her body proved the doctors wrong twice. Before what? Before believing in miracles again. He kissed, her forehead, nose, lips, with love that won her heart. When? Early winter. Maybe Christmas. Perfect. James will be old enough to help with his sibling. They stood in the sunlight, James playing, another baby growing, and Abigail felt complete happiness. 5 years ago, she had no hope. Now, love surrounded her. On the porch that night, in their rocking chairs, she opened the family Bible to note the new baby's due date. It held their wedding, James's birth, and animal births. What's this one's name? She asked, hand on her belly. If it's a girl, Margaret, for your mom. Her eyes teared up. She'd love that. She'd love you. If it's a boy, Thomas, after my middle name. He liked the sound. Thomas Calloway. As the sun set, painting the sky gold and pink, they talked about their future. More kids, homestead upgrades, James's school in Helena someday. Ever regret it? Thaddius asked, choosing this over Charles's offer. She looked at the valley, green and alive, her flower collection now in books, her garden, her preserves, the bread she baked in Thaddius's oven. Most of all, the love, strong, free, not based on kids or society, but partnership and joy. Never, she said. Not even when winters are long. I'd rather be here with you than anywhere else. James slept on her shoulder, tired from toddler adventures. She rocked, feeling the new baby move. How can I regret what gave me everything I wanted? As stars appeared, Abigail closed her eyes, hearing home, Thaddius's breathing, James's sighs, the wind in the mountain. Tomorrow meant work, challenges, a life built day by day. But tonight was peace, love, and knowing she was right where she belonged. A mountain bird called, its sound carrying like a promise that the best things were worth waiting and fighting for every single day.